All right, here's the deal. I think we're going to continue to sell through here from this 360 area. I like the weakness I'm seeing here. You can do two things. You can take a breakout now for shorts, or you can watch for a break and retest of 341. 341 is going to be a nice area for not only are you waiting for a break of structure, but then you can also look for a retest of that structure, avoiding any fake outs. A fake out meaning if you took a breakout for calls at 36, right? So I'll leave it up to you guys. All right, I would trim here right now. I would take your trim if you entered at 361. I would take your trim right now. If you entered at 361, just like the other guy, Rashid, who clearly didn't listen to me and took a loss. I'm telling you this for a reason, you guys. If you're going to take my entry, you should probably take the trims I give out as well. If you're not going to do either, I can't help you. Let me drag this down. Oh, that's a completely different trade. Sorry. Remember, we want to target this bottom of this 4-hour zone, this order block. We are expecting some type of a bounce in that order block. You are expecting that. I would have gotten a second trim. I know I didn't say it, but that's pretty obvious. You just flush straight to 50 points, 61 points profit. Now, for anyone that did not take my breakout that I just called out, I would be watching for a 5-minute candle close and then a retest, and then a retest. No, you have to wait for it to trim. You have to wait for your profit spot. If I enter a trade and I see 8% and it comes back and stops me out, that's not a green trade. That is a loss. That's just a loss. Remember, just in case I miss it, the next trim is in this order block, okay? You trimmed once. You trimmed once up here. You trimmed once again down here. You have another shot right now if you didn't do it earlier, but basically around 60 points. So you have a 19-point trim, a 60-point trim, and then we're shooting for 83 points on this, all right? How do I avoid going on tilt and losing my whole account? On days where you have really big call outs, I always seem to sell early. And on days like today where you're waiting for the right move, i.e. this one that just happened, I always find myself blowing my account prior to taking that trade. Decided to take 4 trades completely on my own and blew my whole account. Man, this is just a nod of disappointment. That's all it is. All right, keep an eye on this order block down here. Again, we should see some type of a pullback. You got 30 seconds to the candle close. This would make sense for it to pull back here. We might see the candle close. We might see a pullback. We can see it come back up into this 4-hour key level. For those of you, for some reason, that didn't want to take my breakout here, then that can be your opportunity to finally get into a trade if the volume sets up correctly. It's, again, it comes back down to discipline. I can't reiterate it enough, guys. If you do not have discipline, basically, if you don't have discipline as a day trader, the only way you would be successful is if every single day, the very first and only call out I gave ripped for just at least 70 points profit with 0 pullback, you will make money unless, and even in that instance, unless you don't take the call out. But if you notice that that's the only time you're making money, that means that you are entering trades late. That means you are probably selling trades early. And that means if you don't get that style of trade and you find yourself over trading right away because you're trying to force that trade to happen, that will be the combination of the lack of discipline. I mean, do you see the patience I just exercised watching all this crap happen? Right? I was still giving you guys some solid trade ideas besides the actual call outs. But when it comes down to quote unquote, the call outs like this 360, what did we wait for? We sat here, we watched the market play out. I said, look, as long as we're below 415, I'm biased for shorts. We got that little snap above 415, which was nice because some of you took that breakout. You get 20 points. It is what it is. Comes back to the entry. But then when you see the candle closes below, this candle doesn't really pick a direction. It's just kind of sitting there consolidating. We have to be patient. We have to wait. We can, yes, we can see we're rejecting 415. Yeah, after the fact. But after the fact, I can also see I'm holding this for support. So it would be foolish to try to enter in the middle of the range unless I see clear orders hitting the tape. So if you don't see clear orders hitting the tape, you can't take the trade. You know what I mean? You just can't take it. All right, it's pulled back up here to the 4-hour key level. Let's see if we can hold it and start to reject. This is ideally what you'd want to be seeing for a healthy continuation sell-off. You would like to see it hold, respect this, sell back through, completely flush this 4-hour level and keep going. Yeah, Haven, that can be frustrating. All I would say, Haven, is if you notice NQ is causing trouble, NVIDIA will more than likely follow suit. All right, there's that first trim. If you took the retest of 42, this is now 25, 27, 30 points profit right here. So this is your first trim. If you took the retest of 342, that was textbook. Hopefully those of you who over traded and you can't trade anymore because you blew your account, hopefully you can see why now you have to be patient. I am raising my voice because so many of you need to hear this the hard way. Please be patient. Be patient. Stop forcing your own trades. I want to say this out loud because some of you need to hear it. And I'm just being completely honest. You are paying to be in this community to listen to my education, correct? So all I would ask is if you are not, and here's the trim for the people who took the original trade. That's an 83-point trim. So take your second trim here for the 83-point trade, okay? Absolutely gorgeous. For those of you who are in here and you're here for my education, you're here for my experience, you're here for me to help you fast track your progress. All I am saying is if you are not 100% confident in your own setup, please reconsider taking it. Please just give me a shot to help you take a successful trade. Because some of you will completely block me out and you'll take like Rashid, and you'll take losses, you'll blow your account, and then you'll just quit. You'll just leave for the day. It's such a shame to see because I know how it feels, but you're in so much of a better position than I was. I truly felt alone. There was no one to talk to about this. Nobody. I didn't have Instagram, trading friends, none of it. So I was in a very dark place in terms of day trading because there was nobody to vent to, nobody to bounce ideas off of, no real call outs to follow, right? There was no real solid trading community to follow. But when you see it here, pretty much play out textbook, right? That's when I want you to eventually start being like, look, maybe James knows somewhat what he's doing. Let me just try to listen to the guy. Yeah, I can be wrong sometimes, obviously, but case in point, boom, 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 boom. This isn't like a market open breakout trade. This is we're watching to see how price action plays out. We're taking a perfect entry. That perfect entry plays out beautifully. I give you the criteria of what you can look for those that didn't like that entry. What do I say? Hey, let's watch for us to bounce our order block zone. When we bounce this order block zone, we're more than likely going to come back up to this 4-hour key level. When we come back up to that 4-hour key level, you can look to take a re-entry for shorts because you didn't like the breakout. And what happens, case in point? We see the sell-off, we see the bounce, we see it come back above, we see it hit our 4-hour key level perfectly, and then we see it start to sell through even more so, case in point. There's no more proof I can give you. Well, this is 100 points. I wouldn't trim it 100 points, but it's nice to see 100. If you only have one MNQ, yeah, you could sell it. If all you got is one MNQ left. Maybe if I hold a crystal ball in front of my face, it'll be more entertaining and people will listen. But it aggravates me when I'm trying my best and my hardest here and people don't listen and they take losses and quit and leave. It doesn't aggravate me like I'm mad at them. I'm mad for them because, I kind of feel like a parent. It's like I'm trying to help out my kid, but they won't listen, which we all know for parents, that's very frustrating, right? Okay, here's the deal. This is a wonderful full exit area just because we're losing momentum down here, all right? So if you're down to the 1 MNQ, again, I know you might want to see 100 points. I would just be cautious, at least have a trailing stop loss and profit. But me, I would take the full exit right here if I had one MNQ, just because of the order block combined with the 4-hour key level. If it hits 100, it is what it is. You would be waiting for an extra 20 points. You'd be risking 70 points of profit for 20 points more profit. It doesn't make sense. Now, if you have more than one MNQ, hold the trade. Hold the trade. Let this thing continue to sell, okay? But if all you got is one MNQ left, that's all you got to work with. You can put a trailing stop at 40 points in profit. You can shoot for 100, all right, if you're not going to sell here. Tesla has stopped me. It stopped me a while ago, but Tesla has stopped me out. Remember, $4 a contract, guys. $4 a contract was my trailing stop on Tesla. Still beautiful trade, though. What was majority exit on Tesla? How did you trim on Tesla? Yeah, so on Tesla, because it was 0 DTE, I waited a little bit longer. I got around a 30% trim on the first trim. Second trim was roughly 70% profit. And that third trim, I tried to take it 100, but it just flew right through. That was around 130% profit. So Tesla was a very high net ROI trade. Luckily, I was able to sit in it as opposed to yesterday, where it hit 80% and I got sold for 20% profit, just like MU did for me today. MU hit 52%, but I got sold at the 20%. All right, let's see if this can continue to sell through here. We should see this start to move down more so beautifully. Let's see, where was the sitting here at 360? All right. Yes, patience, guys, patience. Good job, Igor. Igor, I messaged you. Did you get your levels? No, you didn't. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna send them to you right now. If anyone in here, if you paid for the levels access and you do not have them in your DMs, you need to message me now. I will send it to you right now. So if you paid, you need to message me. Don't worry, Jerry. Hey, if you guys do, there's 100 points. There you go. There you go, guys. Good job. So you were able to squeeze 100 points out of, in my opinion, a terrible market open. Okay. This, in my opinion, this is a pretty hard market open. At least the wicks aren't massive, but I think we can all agree today, right? Like this is a pretty nasty market open. I don't think anyone would look at this and go like, oh man, that was clean. Like, oh, those were easy trades. No, those were difficult. Those were very difficult. So it's nice that we finally got this. Okay, so this is where I would trim 120 points. It was this level as well I was wanting to target. So take your, what is that? Your third trim, your fourth trim on NQ, QQQ, sitting here at 120 points profit. Yeah, right at 120. Now let's see this next 4-hour level. Oh, it's that aggressive level. Oh no. Okay, we're more than likely going to bounce down here. I would just be very careful down here. All right, so this 4-hour key level is what we're going to target. That'll be 150 points profit. That's a tough spot, okay? This 208 area, it's a very tough spot. Let's see, it looks like it was right there. This is a QQQ order block, interestingly enough. See how it reacts here too. All right, Christian. Let me send it to you. Boom. All right. Christian, no, you don't want to use limit orders. You want to use market. Market will fill you the fastest. No, Christian, here's a good example. Christian, I'll help you. So if you're quote unquote, I'm assuming you're talking about the 4-hour level retest, right? I'm assuming you're saying you don't know if this is going to break through or reject. What you want to look for is almost a complete rejection to the T. That's mainly what you want to look for. So as I'm watching price come back up into this level, right? You're already prepped because the 5 minutes prior, as this was selling down here, I said, look, we're probably going to get a candle close down here. It's probably going to pull back and come back to 340. You could look to take your entry. What that means is as this is pulling back into 342, you need to tell yourself, okay, if we respect 342 perfectly, where will I take the entry? What's my point of no return? That's what I call it. So this is very important. Listen up. So I need a point of no return. Okay. So when I decide my point of no return, let's say my point of no return is going to be here. Okay. Oh, that looks horrendous. Hold on. Maybe I'll just use the arrow. Or no, I'll just use another line. Okay. Let's say my point of no return is going to be here at 336. All right. So I'm looking for a rejection at 342. If it does top 342, and I want other criteria as well, like I don't want it to break more than 5 points above 342. So then I can tell myself, okay, if we tap 347, it's going to make me not want to take this trade. However, if we don't tap 347, if we come up to my 4-hour level at 342, if we reject that 342 level, and then we start to sell through, where will my entry be? So my stop loss is still valid, because the further you let it get away from your key level, your confirmation, the lower your risk to reward ratio gets on your trade, because now the larger your stop loss has to be for that trade to be correct. I can't just enter here at 318 and give it a 15-point stop. Why? Because it can pull back, stop me out, and still continue to sell. Because the market doesn't care that you have a 15-point stop. The market cares about key levels followed by strong consolidation. Oh, damn it. Take your trim. This is completely dumped. Everybody trim. Everybody trim. This is huge. It's absolutely dumped through this level. All right. So you got a 200-point trim instead. Me yapping away. 200 points instead of 150. Massive win for you. Congratulations. This is why you hold the runners, right? Beautiful breakout here you've had. The fact that you've broken this 207 level, guys, means this is probably going to be a really, really, really large trade. You can also use that 4-hour level as a pullback area for a retest as well. Okay, just keep that in mind. Watching 208 and watching 611.50. All right. Now you've trimmed to 200 points. I would be targeting 250 points. 250 points on this next push down. 200 points profit to 250. All right. Okay, so let me keep going over that little. You can watch this one for your tracking. So, anyways, you got to think about it. If you were to enter separately at 336, okay, and you're rocking a 15-point stop loss, look at that. That's what some other trading community stop losses look like. All right, let's say you're going to rock a 15-point stop loss. Do you see how the longer I wait to enter, do you see how much scarier that stop loss gets? So really, if you're looking to enter that 4-hour key level, the latest you can enter is 328. But now what do you have to think about? You have traders that trade rejections like that really well. What do? They enter within 2 points, 3 points variance of the level they want to enter at. So somebody who entered at 342, they are already trimming or close to trimming while you are just now taking an entry. And what can happen here? Let's say you deal with some crazy wicks. Person A entered at 340. Price pulled back 10 points. It came back to 348, and then it dumped. And then they're in this 200-point trade. Or you entered down here, right at 328 because you needed to wait. Price pulls back all the way up here to 348. You get stopped out by 3 points, and then the trade absolutely rips in your favor. You were right. You were correct. You had the right entry criteria. You were just a little late. I'm pretty sure every single one of you could just raise your hand. That's pretty much happened to every single one of us, right? You had the exact right idea. You had the right trade set up, everything lined up. You were patient. It's just your entry. Your entry was the only problem. And that is where a lot of times that comes into play. It's the slight variance of maybe 10 or so points between your trades. So just something you want to be keeping in mind, okay? In my opinion, I'm not a fan of waiting too long to get into my trade based on my level. I want to enter at the level. Best case scenario, I enter at the level. That's the absolute best case scenario. Yeah, Brandon, all the level 2 stuff is in the boot camp. Good job, Chad. What a great trade, man. Good job. Good job, Jay. That's awesome. Volatility. I don't know. What does that mean? Can someone help me? They said volatility exits me immediately on Apex. Are you saying they forced you out of a trade, Christian? Is that what you're saying? There's a lot of Christians in here. Sorry. Christian Felipe Coca Gomez. Are you saying they forced you out of a trade? Please look at your make sure you're not on ticks. A lot of people will set a stop loss for 20 ticks, thinking it's 20 points, which means that's 4 points. And yes, you would get stopped out right away. 80 ticks. So where did you get stopped out so fast? I mean, if price moves 20 points, yeah, it's going to stop you out really quick. The basically the first 30 minutes, yes, these were within each 5-minute candle. There was about, I would say, 20-point movements every few seconds. It would sell 20, push 20, sell 30, push 20, sell 40, push 40. It happened. These candles were crazy. They were crazy. So if you're referring to just today, I mean, I would say that's pretty normal with that price action you saw here because they moved into profit just as quickly too. Yes, I'm going to upload yesterday's YouTube video right after this. Perfect. None of you should be trading with more than 10 MNQ. 10 MNQ, anything more than that, you're probably going to burn yourself. People trading more than 10 MNQ, you should have a good amount of payouts under your belt. You should be relatively consistent. Relatively consistent, meaning you should be seeing about, I would say, a couple payouts a month. What were these contracts at the peak on the reentry? The one I gave here. I'm trying to guess it here. I'm assuming, what time is that at? I'm going to have to do this on my own. 8:55. $1.40 on the 614 puts. That's what I'm assuming. $1.40 up to $5 a contract. I haven't even looked in the Q&A. $220, $255, $230, $230, $245. Oh, I'm so proud of you guys. All your P&Ls are so close. Okay. So basically 240%. That's what I'm going to call it. When using volume footprint, would you recommend to use the 5 or the 1 minute? I recommend the 5. I use the 5. Yes, there's a lot of videos in the boot camp right now on level 2. Let's see. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 videos right now on level 2. A lot of those are live examples. So they're just the recording of me calling out a trade, entering the trade. You can watch the order book play out. I had 3 contracts of QQQ calls. I sold one for 15% profit when you said to take profits, but the last 2 stopped me out at negative 20%, 15% stop loss, Vincent, not 20. Stop me out at 20%. Is there any way to sell singular contracts without removing the stop loss? No. When any broker, if you have a sub order, all right, there's that next trim, guys. Take that next trim right here. 260 points profit on your next trim. 260 points profit. Now we want to target that next 4-hour key level, which is going to be 332 points profit. That's the next one. Beautiful, honestly, retest right here. You see that? It pulled back into this order block and then rejected again. So that's really healthy. That's good that we're seeing that. I would say it could pull back into this order block again. I could totally see this candle flipping green, pushing back up, and then trying to sell through. We'll see how this starts to play out. 332 points profit, though, will be at the bottom. That's what we're targeting. Currently at the peak here is 269 points profit. All right. No, when you have a sub order in place, you can't do anything. So your best bet, when you had 3 contracts of QQQ calls, you sold one. You're re-inputting that stop loss, and your priority is just getting a stop loss to entry. That's your priority. James, I believe today you moved your stop to entry after the first trim on the long on NQQ. Yes, I did. What did you see that you didn't want to move your stop on the second trim? Just because that breakout, we were having some hesitation, right, with NVIDIA. I wasn't the biggest fan of how NVIDIA wasn't ripping with us. So, and also I started to see those orders slow down quite a bit. So if the opposite had happened, if I saw continued buying pressure and I saw NVIDIA moving really well with us, I would have not put my stop at entry. But when I'm putting my stop at entry, it's just because the probability of that trade coming back to entry and actually flushing is very high. So I'll still give my trade a chance. I'm not going to cut the whole thing, but I will minimize my risk by putting stops at entry. Daniel, you already got the 50K account, my friend. It got transferred to you last night. Just have to look in your credits. For the giveaways, anytime you win an account, give it about 2 days from the day you won. Give it about 2 full business days because they have to transfer it to your email. And then from there, it pops up in your credits. So when you go to check out, you just apply the credit, and then it's a free account. Good job. I can't congratulate you. I don't know who this is because it just says iPhone. They just said they took a loss. They waited for the break and retest at 342 to go short, made 800. Old self can never do that. That's awesome. Nice. Hugo. Is that your name here in circle? All right. All right. I'm assuming this is you, Hugo De La Rosa. Guys, send me the DM in circle. Go in circle and send me the DM. If you DM me on Instagram, there's a really good chance I won't see it. How do you trade options on different tickers? Change from one ticker to another. It's just the way you have your broker set up. You can have your broker set up and ready to go to trade multiple tickers. All I got to do is click 2 buttons and I've already switched to a different ticker and purchased the contract. So it's not like super impressive or rocket science. You just need to set up your chart and then you need to get used to moving your mouse quickly. That's all. Guys, think about it like a video game, right? Like if some of you watched me play Call of Duty, I would be moving my hands pretty quickly. People who have never done it before would look like, old. They would look like they don't know what they're doing. Same concept. I've been doing it for a while. That's why I can move so fast. Just like when you watch a professional gamer play on a keyboard or on a console, the way they move their hands on the controller is incredible. The way they manipulate their dexterity, it's super, super fast. I've also played video games my whole life. I don't know if that makes a difference. Makana, I'm assuming based on your question, I'm assuming you're not in these shorts that I very clearly called out. No one should be looking for a bounce. This is a mindset some people adopt when they're not in a trade. In order to avoid chasing, they'll try to time a reversal. So they'll say, look, I'm not in the short. I don't want to chase the short. But if I try to time a reversal, that means I'm being a good trader, right? The answer is no. Unless that's part of your game plan, why are you trying to time a reversal? Why are you trying to catch a falling knife? Okay? Knife, hand, stab. Don't want to do that. We do not want to do that. You are not. Oh, all right. All right, guys. Got to head out. Wonderful trading day. You guys absolutely crushed it today. Really tough market open, but luckily able to survive through that nonsense and then come out on top with this last trade. Absolutely wonderful trade. You guys crushed it. I'll see you guys tomorrow. 1% better. Oh. Every single day. Y'all have a blessed one. All right.